Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is Song and Beyond, and we are more than beyond tonight. We have, what can I say? It's the Hamsung Foundation cooperation with IDAGIO.com, IDAGIO Live, the place where classical music happens, and we are such a happening place. Now, don't move your camera. Don't get nervous. I just want to show you something where we're actually at. We're at the top of the Elbphilharmonie in Hamburg, and that is the skyline of the beautiful city of Hamburg, Germany. Now, before you get seasick, I'm going to turn you back around. As you know, we've been talking a lot over the last month, especially, that we are doing this rather marvelous production, Song of America, a celebration of Black music. And I really couldn't be more thrilled. All the colleagues are here. We've been rehearsing. We have our first concert tomorrow, filmed live. Everything will be online to watch next week. So come to the Hamsung Foundation website. We will tell you exactly how to tune in and where to tune in, of course, for free on IDAGIO or on our Facebook website as well. It's quite a wonderful project. We have 3 concerts, 2 recitals tomorrow night and day after. The first night is dedicated to Langston Hughes in German and in English. And colleagues and friends and composers that have been inspired by him, including some of the marvelous Black American composers who studied with Nadia Boulanger in Paris. So we have sort of German and English in the Boulanger school, but all centering around the orbit of Langston Hughes, which is very exciting. And the next night is more of a bouquet, as somewhat of a, not really a historical panorama, but certainly a panorama of the contemporary and somewhat historical canon of classic music seen through the eyes and ears of African Americans. And it's very, very exciting. The name of the title is from a Paul Laurence Dunbar poem that Maya Angelou used for a book reference. I believe the title of a book, if I'm not right. I know why the caged bird sings. So our second concert, and that's everything from Henry Burleigh to Damien Sneed to Ashburn to Jason to Jasmine Barnes. I mean, it's a really exciting program. And on the 31st, we have an orchestra concert starting off with Valerie Coleman, and another wonderful piece by George Walker, lyric for strings, and ending with the magnificent Negro Symphony of William Dawson, which I believe is the first time to be played in Central Europe, certainly in Germany. So it's all very exciting. We're going to do some excerpts from operas from William Grant Still, and of course, some wonderful spirituals. Now, if you've been following us this month, we've already talked to Leah Hawkins, who is a wonderful young soprano who's here singing up a storm. And we've talked to Louise Toppin, who is my co-curator of this entire crazy project. Wonderful crazy. And we have the inimitable Lawrence Brownlee, also in great form and here joining, but we talked with him, I believe, last week. And of course, sitting here, not the least of which, just to be careful, we have Howard Watkins and Joseph Jourbet. And at the end, we have the person without whom none of this would be possible, the managing director of the Hamsung Foundation and my dear friend, Christy Finn. So welcome to our show tonight. We're going to talk first and get to know these 2 gentlemen better. And talk about the project a little bit. And when we're done, we're done. We've had a long day, but we thought it'd be fun to have a live from the Elbphilharmonie show tonight about Song and Beyond. Welcome, you 2 amazing guys.
Thank you.
We've been having some fun the last couple of days.
Absolutely.
What I always do for guests is ask you to just give us kind of a 3 to 5 minute Wikipedia of who you are, where you come from, you know, how many siblings, what did you actually want to do in life? You know, anything you want to share. Who wants to go first? Howard, you want to hit off?
Sure.
Where are you from? How did you get here?
I am from the suburbs of Dayton, Ohio. And my family is still there. My mom and dad still live in the little town called Centerville, which is the southern suburb. And I grew up in Dayton, did music as a kid, started studying piano actually at the age of 8, which is relatively late for a pianist. But I
Yeah, I
enjoyed
did.
it.
I missed it, and I just at 9, I just called it off. I
Yeah,
said,
it's all over.
I'm
Just
not
forget it.
9, so it's over. I mean,
Forget about it. So I studied piano and did all kinds of other things. And eventually, when I got ready to go to undergrad school, I wanted to be a doctor,
oh,
a psychologist, a psychiatrist
a
was my
psychiatrist,
idea.
not an MD, but a
Not an
psychiatrist.
MD. I think it was probably more that I needed one than wanted to be one. But in any event, I went on to undergrad and studied chemical engineering for a year. And then I thought, well, this is not my favorite thing. I'm going to try electrical engineering. And at the end of those 2 years, because I thought, I enjoyed music, but I think it'd be hard to make a living, and I'm just going to do that as a hobby. But what started happening was I got more and more into it. I practiced more and more. I went to class less and less. Sorry, mom and dad. And at the end of those 2 years, I thought, forget it. It's not going to happen. I really want to do music, and I'm going to study piano. By fortune, there was a wonderful Hungarian pianist, Tibor Sas, Hungarian-Romanian pianist who came to teach there. I studied piano with him. I had thousands of lessons. It felt like I had lessons every day. And he gave me a lot of attention and some fantastic teaching. And I really found my real love of piano.
Did you play any other instrument?
I did. I played saxophone. I played saxophone in high school, and I also played bassoon.
Wow.
And played in the marching band and concert band.
I
And
love
enjoyed all those things. And
I love it.
kept it going a little bit once I went to undergrad, but not too much.
And now, because you work with singers predominantly, your hobby psychiatry has pulled into has pulled into gear.
That's right.
You're good to go.
Got to use it, and
And that explains a lot, because Howard is really one of the go-to, we say, nice guys to work with. Yes, he really knows his stuff, and he doesn't get on you. So,
thank you.
I guess it paid off. My dad was a chemical engineer, so I'm kind of good. And I of course was the bitter disappointment in that realm, but I just never got that. I can't imagine chemical and nuclear engineering. God Almighty!
No,
I love it. I wanted to be a doctor, so I studied chemical engineering. I'm not going to go there. Fantastic, Joseph. What are you going to do? You're going to be a soccer player?
Here's my story. I'm a son of a Baptist preacher and grew up in Harlem, New York. And 8 years old, my mother started me chopsticks and Mariana the Lamb, and then that was it. So I taught myself to read the clefs. And don't ask, it happened. I just started playing. I remember doing the or something.
yeah.
So for 5 years, I was just on my own, playing by ear, whatever that means, playing in church and picking out keys.
But you could hear a tune, or you'd be at church, you come home and think, how did that go again? And you'd bang it out.
Yeah, and play. So when I was 13, I got my junior high school teacher. I would just harass him to just show me stuff. So he prepared me for performing arts high school, which made me have to get a piano teacher. Then I was like, oh my God, this is it. So I had to learn all the right habits and like starting again from scratch. But I really focused. And then by 15, I got Doris Zaslavsky at Manhattan School of Music, which is like
Manhattan School of Music. I wonder why that sounds. Manhattan School of Music. We call it MSM from where I come from. Wonderful. Another stellar graduate from a stellar school.
So that was my journey to piano, but piano performance. And the thing is, because I was a good reader, I loved playing for singers and instrumentalists, but I admire Howard because he's a studied coach. I don't coach. I accompany because I love to do it. So I have this eclectic career where I'm a accompanist, I'm a pianist, I'm a conductor, I'm a Broadway orchestrator, I'm a Broadway conductor. So people know me with many hats. So this is my classical week, I say.
What I love about you guys, and of course, Joseph, you and I are just getting to know each other, but what I love about both these guys, but especially getting to know Joseph, is that when they play, their ears get bigger. Literally, they just become so tuned to everything going on. You working with both of you working with the different instrumentalists today, but also just the singers. And I remember the first time we sort of looked at the songs together, and we head off, straight away with Hermann Reuter. This is not easy music. This is kind of dense. Well, okay, and so I said, well, I think it's about this tempo. What do you think? And here we go. And it was just this and these ears get, you guys just hear all this stuff coming in. It's incredible. It's wonderful. We all try that, but I think to be a real chamber music pianist, that's a big deal.
Absolutely. You have to listen as much as you are actually playing.
Well, at the same time, what you're playing is formed by that. Now, you on the end, dear Christy, we've had you on before, but maybe you want to catch us. I mean, people know who you are, but where did you grow up, and then where did you study? You're also a Manhattan School of Music.
Yes, I did go there. I did a master's in contemporary performance.
Right. She's not on this part. I'm going to say it again. I know it's a silly thing to say, but the music she sings, we call dog whistle music, because it's stuff that, and I say that out of a complete jealousy and defensiveness, because I cannot hear this stuff. She is the kind of music. And actually, that's a horrible thing to say, because we have one of your favorite friends and composers, Anthony Green, on the shows. And that has nothing to do with dogs. That's just fantastic music. But yes, being a contemporary music specialist, also ears of death. And so what are you thinking of the program? I mean, this is very exciting for us. We've been putting this together for the last 3 months. Louise has been on the show. Louise is the co-curator. She knows more about repertoire and, of course, knows Joseph and Howard for 100 years. Her 100, not yours. No, nobody's 100. But I'm 100, but not anyway. Never mind. But I think it's coming together. I mean, the last couple of days, I have to say, I went to a lot of rehearsals. I just want to say, what have we done? What do you think? Where are you?
It's amazing. It's amazing to have everybody here to just hear the interpretations.
Yeah.
Hear just even little snippets of it. It's going to be so amazing to have you.
There's a handful of things that the colleagues are singing, Justin, Leah, and Louise, that were written for them. And that's quite moving and quite special as well. What surprised me as the programs came together, it was really wonderful. Everybody wanted to be part of the project, and it was just a wonderful conversation to invite people to be part of this celebration. But and putting the program together, nobody was told, do this, do that. Everybody was brought their things to the table, and we started making it happen. What is very exciting is that in these 2 chamber music concerts, I would say 50% is contemporary.
Easily.
50% is living composers. Mm-hmm. And to borrow the great phrase of Marilyn Horne, the song indeed continues. And if I may be specific to the African-American community of composers and love of African-American poetry, and I capital African and capital American, is that the blooming, the composing, the inventiveness, the desire to express the American culture, the African-American culture, the history of it, the roots of it, the meaning of it, at the same time, the timelessness that applies to all of humanity. This is incredibly impressive to me. Do you guys, am I chiming a bell here?
As I'm listening to, it's amazing, because we have, you go back to like Samuel Coleridge Taylor, and you have like Damian Sneed, who's living. I know Damian. Howard Swanson. I met Howard Swanson in 1977, and I got his autograph. I had played his sonata, and George Walker. We knew him and his sister, who passed, I think, last year or the year before. Right. Adolphus Hale Stork. He wrote a piece for Sylvia Lee that I premiered with Louise. And so these are, for me, it's exciting to have composers that are living that Well, Stephanie Powell, I've met her and worked at a conference with her some years ago. So
have you guys heard this orchestral piece by Valerie Coleman, Umoja?
I don't know that yet.
No.
Oh, you're gonna love it. Oh my! And it means unity. It's rather recent, I think, last couple of years.
2019, I think.
2019, exactly. It is unbelievably beautiful. It's a step forward from George Walker, but George Walker wrote a lot of music and is unjustly unrecognized as he is. He's still unjustly unrecognized for the greatness that he carried. His most famous piece is well, I don't need to pronounce it. One of his most famous pieces is the lyric serenade for strings. Right. I think that's what it's called. But I mean, everyone knows the Samuel Barber Adagio for strings, and rightfully so. but there's no second place here. George Walker, by the way, was the first African-American composer to win a Pulitzer.
Yeah.
You know, that's rather exciting. You know, I've said, and if you guys want to riff on this, I've said in interviews, I've talked about it before, and it is a Song of America project. That's been our passion. That's the songofamerica.net project, which is a project of the Hampson Foundation. If you want to check out either one of the Hampson with a G foundation.org or Song of America in one word, songofamerica.net. And you know my passion for things American, and certainly American song. The history of American culture seen through the eyes of our poets and the ears of our composers. And somehow in all of this work and all these times, and I sang a handful of African Americans and also Latino Americans and some Asian Americans. I mean, there is obviously a story there, but the African American canon, classical music, feels to me like a parallel universe over the last 100 years of American culture that is just woefully neglected, and we are unfairly denied the richness of this music and this poetry as an evidence of the American culture. Am I going too far?
No, yes.
No, it's true.
You hit it on the head, you know.
Have you guys, have you felt that in the years where you think you're in a concert? I remember seeing you on a Master of the Spirituals concert, you know?
Right.
You know, it's great, but you had to know the URL. I didn't really catch the main time and so forth. But when you guys have a concert, you've done a lot of recitals with Louise or with Leah or with Larry or whatever else. Do you just kind of, after the end of the saying, you know, God, that's fantastic. And how many people know this stuff?
Yeah. Well, I think that's been going on for years. And Louise, for all this time, has been one of the leading exponents of this music. And so a lot of the music I got to know when I got to know Louise at University of Michigan. And so I've tried to, wherever I go, try to put some of that music out there and encourage people, oh, here's some wonderful songs and other music that you may not have heard of. Sing some of this or tell people about it. And now's the moment.
Yeah, and I hope that some of the colleagues, and I don't want to sound like we're reinventing the wheel here. You know, we've had Hilda Harris, we've had Harlan Blackwell, we've had Florence Cuivon. We go to generation behind that. You know, I mean, Leontine wasn't bad. You know, Matilda Dobbs wasn't bad.
Yeah.
And of course, then you got the patron saints of Roland Hayes. And of course, Roland Hayes' protege with George Shirley, which I also had on the show. By the way, a lot of these names you're hearing, the contemporaries, they've been on IDAGIO. If you want to look up IDAGIO Live, George Shirley or Adolphus Hailstork or so forth, you'll find some wonderful conversations with people. You know, did you know that Roland Hayes used to call his spiritual evenings folk songs of the African-American community?
Mm-hmm.
That kind of resonates, doesn't it?
Isn't
that nice?
I love that. Absolutely.
So, I mean, we've had that, but it just feels like it's stayed over there. Does that, I mean, we've talked on the show, and a lot of your calls, we've talked very openly about racism and this cultural antagonism in our country, especially about the sense of the other. You know, the coding that you get, you know, you talk this way around your family and friends, and you talk this way in a white community, and we all know better than to talk this way to the police. But, you know, do you think music can bring us together on that?
It's just the universal language that everyone can understand if they get together with. I mean, it touches everyone. So I would say that's our hope of peace through music, whether it be classical or pop or something. That's what will bring us together, I think.
Yeah, and sometimes where words fail, music takes over. You know, music can go deeper. It can go into places that words can't always reach. And in moments like this, I like that you were talking about some of this music being folk, our Black folk music, in the same way that, you know, we sing folk songs of cultures that we're not necessarily a part of. And I love it that in this concert, you're singing music of Black composers. And we have another wonderful young Canadian singer, Emma Nikolowska.
I didn't mention we have two young folks that I know because of the Heidelberg Lied Academy, and now they're just, you know, they've flown from the nest, which is wonderful. Young Justin Austin, a wonderful young baritone whose father is an operatic tenor, which is coincidental, and a marvelous young Canadian now living in Berlin and in the Young Artist Program at the Linden Opera, Emma Nikolowska, who gave one of the most extraordinary Schubert recitals last January in our Schubert week at the Boulez Saal, and it's still online. We've kept all that online. So if you want to go check it out, check it out. Emma Nikolowska, she's a great hope for the future, but same with Justin. And of course, Leah, you know, I keep putting Leah in the adult ring, but actually she's only 30 years old as well. You know, Emma's going to be 28. I mean, you know.
It was my first time hearing Leah today, and I'm
hello.
totally blown.
No way, isn't she wonderful?
Yeah.
I had heard her in a Missy Mazzoli's opera at Washington Opera. Royce Vavrick, who wrote the libretto, friend of mine, and we were working on the Song of America project. He invited me to come down and listen, and all of a sudden this thing's going on. It's called what's the name? It's a funny name. Up something, take up or something. Oh, please, I'm sorry, I beg your pardon, Royce. Anyway, so I'm sitting there and it's really interesting music and it's a very complicated and rather dark plot. And all of a sudden this mother figure, this wonderful young Black girl stands up to sing. And I just went, well, excuse me, can we have a little bit more of that? Does she have an aria? And sure enough, about 5 minutes later, she broke into this aria. And that was Leah. And it was, you know, my ears got big.
Yeah.
It's exciting. There's an awful lot of young people that are singing so well. And, you know, gosh darn, this pandemic has really been hard on the young community. Don't underestimate that. Give them every help you possibly can. Our young colleagues, and it's not just, of course, they need financial and they need support. But, you know, a musician will not become a musician, and certainly a singer cannot become a singer unless they sing. And we just have to create as many possibilities under any circumstances for them to hone their talents and find their repertoire. And the win-win is they're going to sing stuff that you've never heard of. And they're going to sing stuff you have heard of, but never like that. And that's, for me, as the old guy on the block here, that's just one of the most exciting things that I can make possible here. And I know you guys work with young people all the time, especially you, Howard, and your teaching. So do you teach, Joseph?
You know, shamefully, I have some, I call them my proteges.
Okay.
Keep in touch with pianists, but not, and I'm not a coach. People ask me, you coach me? I'll go through things. I mean, I work with people like Norm Lewis, Broadway things, and
right.
we work, and you know, we put shows together and things like that. But shamefully, I'm not a vocal coach. He's the one here.
No, but we always say shamefully because we want what the other person has. You know, every time I sit and I say have to, you know, if I'm playing music where I need to improvise or play in a Broadway style, I'm always jealous of someone like this who has the ear and the ability and the freedom and just the understanding of how to do that without feeling like, you know, square. So we all want what the other person has.
Other man's grass is always greener. Christy, what's it been like to put this project together? We bit off a little bit more than we thought we had to. And I'm not going to say anything nasty about music publishers yet.
I'm talking about how ingeniously we split this music up.
Yes.
You know,
that's true.
Yes.
We just it was sort of random. I mean, because it's 90 minutes, you know, 2 90-minute concerts, and we had to split the music up. So I remember we had this phone call, and I had downloaded the music, but didn't really know it, but I had ideas, but we just looked at timings and we picked it, and it worked out. I mean, you know, I can imagine some of the stuff he's doing is just like, oh my God, I'm glad I didn't pick that. But it was a nice split up.
It worked out very well. We tried to make sure that everything was equally distributed as far as time, and also that not only one person's doing all the impossible numbers and one person's doing
or impossible people.
Right.
You were ahead of him. I said, Joe, he said, Joseph, look, Tom's starting. Why don't you go ahead? You got this, right? And handed him the Reuter, Zemlinsky, Kurt Pollen sort of, you know, music, you know. I said, now, if Thomas gets crazy and starts yelling, he doesn't mean it personally. It's
So, you're wonderful.
No, you guys were, and
the
that was a
absolute
method to our
nice
madness. He
guys.
said, these two pianists, they'll know what to do. We just gave you the list once it was all set together. It was
I would
great.
like to know though, what, if you have a favorite piece or if you have a favorite composer, each of you.
Or something you didn't know before. They went, oh, I don't want
Yeah.
to lose track of that.
You know, it's interesting. What was that? The Margaret Bonds pieces. I mean, I listened to Louise, and I remember asking Howard. I said, "I'd like to do those because it was challenging, but there was just something I was drawn to." And I had done Dream Variation, but Howard knows those, so we split those off. And then I met Robert Owens at a NAMM convention some years ago. So I said, let me, which one of those, because there are two groups of Owens, and something drew me to the Mortal Storm thing. So
yeah, the Mortal Storm is a wonderful cycle. It's been fun to get that.
But it's funny, the Howard Swanson, it's a little 3-page ditty, and it's the hardest thing. It took me 3 weeks to get it so I could really play it up to tempo, because it makes no sense.
But it's got, yeah. Did you ever play? Did you look at it in the original? Because of course she's singing it. We brought it down pretty.
Oh, I didn't. And I actually had to reprint it in finale to make it clearer and bigger, so I could really see every note, because I'm really, very calculate, every note is fingered, and I just have to really get, because there's no, you can't, it's not a sight readable kind of thing. So, but it's the 3 pages of terror, but, and it goes by and people are like, okay.
By the way, I've just been wonderfully coached, and I want to get it straight here. It is a marvelous opera, and it is starting to be played around in more places, even though it was premiered in Washington, D.C. I know it's been in Omaha. They've made a recording of it, and it is Missy Mazzoli's is the composer, and Royce Vavrick, the librettist, and the opera is called Proving Up. I just don't want to be glib about that, because it is a major piece, and Missy Mazzoli's is one of the most, well, you're going to be hearing, I'm not going to say what it is, you're going to be hearing a lot about her and Royce in some of their future projects and some of the most important opera houses. So stay tuned. It was a big moment, but Leah just captured you know what else captured me? That I went down to the pit, and she's got this wonderful segment that is accompanied by 16 guitars.
Oh, wow.
And they're all tuned to a particular key.
Oh, wow.
And so they were all laid flat, and they're being thumped and strummed and whatever. And here's D, E, and A, and G, and C, and the sound is like, it's otherworldly. Anyway, she's a great composer. We've also had her on the show talking about composing. Really fantastic.
Oh, okay.
What other piece rocked you? What about you? Anything rock your boat?
He's got some gorgeous stuff. You got.
There's some beautiful things. Well, the one that was scary to me, and though like he described it, I have a piece in Time of Silver Rain where we have, I think, at least 3 pieces that use that poem.
That's true.
Of Langston Hughes, but the one setting of George Walker, I was just terrified at when I looked at it. And what's more, we had, I think, 3 possible keys for that one.
Yeah.
And so I kept putting off looking at it. And finally, at a certain point, I wrote to Emma, who we talked about before, is performing that. I wrote Emma and said, Emma, which key are we doing this in? I can only practice 1 key of this. And she was really lovely. She said, oh, I think the one that works best is G major, so fine. So I that piece, even just to be able to get through it, you have to really just spend some math time and just sit and work it out and figure it out. So I have a special love for that piece. But my favorites are these 2 pieces, and this is no offense to all the other wonderful composers on this concert, but there are 2 works of the composer Peter Ashbourne that Leah is singing, that are in Jamaican kind of resetting.
Well, he's a Jamaican immigrant, isn't he? He's part of the diaspora.
Yeah.
Right.
They are phenomenal. Phenomenal. And you will be singing and dancing in your chairs when you hear Leah do these songs.
We have a wonderful community following us on Tuesdays for Song and Beyond, and that's why I'm so easy and friendly about it, because I know we've got an awful lot of friends out there, and we have a lot of friends that join the Hamsung Foundation Facebook page on Tuesdays to see what else we're doing in the wide world of song. In April, we had this wonderful takeover by Stephen Rogers, and we were deep into 19th century European women composers. It was really, really exciting. Of course, we've been centered here, but I promise all of you, you'll want to go to the Elbphilharmonie or come to Hamsong Foundation Facebook page. You'll have that too. It'll be online next week. I think the first concert's on the 4th or the 2nd?
It's the second.
The 2nd, and then the 4th, and then the 6th.
Yeah.
2, 4, 6. You can't miss that. 2, 4, 2 and 4 are songs and the genius of these two pianists. And on the 6th is orchestra and Roderick Cox, the wonderful conductor and recent George Schulte competition winner. I think he's in Bremen rehearsing the orchestra today, even as we speak. And we meet up with him on Thursday. We'll have him as a guest later on this week, which will be a lot of fun and hear from him and his wonderful forming of the orchestral pieces. Joseph, what was it? You sent me a link. We had a good conversation. Then you sent me a link to an amazing project, an amazing piece of music where you were the soloist with an orchestra playing more notes per square inch than I ever have to want to look at.
So speaking of African-American composers, Coleridge Taylor Perkins, and his parents named him after Samuel Coleridge, but he was a composer that I knew. I remember meeting Coleridge Taylor back in 1984, so he was sort of a mentor of mine. And for years I kept saying, we called him Perk. I said, Perk, could you write me a piece like the Choral Fantasy, something like that, where you have, he never did, but on his deathbed, he wanted me to record Grass, which I had no idea what this piece was. So, Cedille Records contacted me and we recorded it with Paul Freeman. And I rarely play it because no one knows the piece. Yeah. And I get a call earlier this year from the New Bedford Symphony. The conductor said, we'd love to have you do a virtual concert. I was like, oh, of course. And it takes forever to learn because it's really difficult. And it's for piano, strings, and percussion. So we did this concert and they live streamed it and I showed you. I said, well, you need to know if I can play.
I was real concerned about that.
Oh, please.
No, it's
a wonderful piece. It's a wonderful piece. But I was impressed with the whole Bedford Symphony spirit and community and the project they're doing. And
that area, there's a connection with Frederick Douglass.
Exactly.
So that the symphony, that program was other Black composer pieces that Hailstalks, what was the name? It's another symphonic piece that's just gorgeous that I didn't know. Is on the same concert. And there's another young African-American female composer, I can't remember her name. And the conductor is Yaniv and Denor, I think is his name. Yeah. We're Facebook friends. I'm a wonderful conductor, and he actually works at the Milwaukee Symphony too. But
that was beautiful.
Out of nowhere, I was because I had.
What's the website? It was Bedford Symphony, right?
Yes.
If you go to bedfordsymphony.org, you can figure out what we're talking about and have a listen. It's probably still up. It's marvelous music. Christy, where are we going with all this? In the Hamsong Foundation, have we been getting some? More exactly.
We're loving all of it.
The other passion we have is, of course, women's creativity. But let's get through this one. Have we been getting any feedback? People writing in a little bit here and there to say?
I'm not yet, but let's get those concerts up, and then we will. I'm sure that we will get lots of great feedback.
People need to hear it because this hasn't been. I don't know this. Like two folk. I don't think when has this been done? Exactly. This array of singers and pianists, something like that.
By the way, I should mention that we have this extraordinary scholar in residence who is accompanying us behind the scenes. She was intending to be over here, speaks fluent German, raised in Vienna as well as in America. Her name is Kira, Professor. Kira Thurman with a Thurman. She just had a wonderful article published in The Atlantic, was it?
And I think it was the New Yorker.
I think it was the New Yorker about Marian Anderson, which is extraordinary. And she's got a fantastic book coming out this fall on essentially American artists in Europe.
Black singers in Europe.
Black singers in Europe, but because it goes past Black singers, she's quite a specialist, and she has written all of our notes for the concerts, and they will be online, and has accompanied all of our project. Again, Louise Toppin suggestion, and can't deny that this doesn't also have a huge stake in the ground with the University of Michigan, one of the great music schools in our country, and devoted for some time, probably the first conservatory or school of music that actually had a dedicated African-American music or song program with the incredible Norman, isn't it? Norman Patterson. Willis Patterson. I'm doing really great tonight.
You put up the first anthology.
Just call me Dave. I'm
Been
good.
working and singing all day long, and I'm doing this.
Yeah, but I apologize, because Willis Patterson is an icon.
Yes.
It was an honor to meet him last year, and of course George Shirley's been there for many years, and it's really wonderful because Louise Toppin, who is now Professor Louise Toppin, and all of her kids come along and they call her Miss Toppin. And when she talks to George Shirley, she says Mr. Shirley. And when I met him, he was so kind to me, and we were sort of talking, colleague and opera kind of stuff. And no, I call him Mr. Shirley now. I'm good. And I would only call him Mr. Mr. Patterson. I mean, so this is a lot of fun. Oh my goodness. What else, guys? What's COVID been like for you guys?
Well, it's everything's shut down and stopped. So we're home doing, well, for me, virtual arranging, virtual practicing, virtual accompanying for people to sing to, things like that, but just nothing live, because I'm not, not teaching. So, but I think Howard's been busy.
I've done a lot of online coaching and working with Juilliard. I was already working at Juilliard, but I also started doing a project at Bard. Now at Bard, actually, I went live. I went there once a week, and we worked on some various projects, scene projects, and then later we did a double bill of Seven Deadly Sins of Kurt Weill and Menotti, the Medium. So I conducted this. Oh, good. And we did something like what we're going to do. We recorded it live, and it's being broadcast. Gosh, is it tonight even, maybe?
Oh my. Well, check it out. Bard is a wonderful school.
Yep.
I mean, I know Leon quite well. Leon Botstein. If you want to read dense, interesting, wonderful musical history, just pick up any of his books of the series. Whether it's Schubert or Brahms or Berg or whoever. This guy is one incredibly intelligent, well-rounded, well-read guy. And his writings on music, I think, are extraordinary. He's got a great team at the school.
Yep.
Who just took over the music department? Who don't want to tell me who that is?
Well,
a colleague of ours.
The voice department is Stephanie Blythe.
Yeah, exactly, Stephanie.
Yeah, she's running this program. It used to be Don Upshaw used to run it, along with Kaio Iwama. Right. And now Kaio and Stephanie run this program.
Wow.
And it's really terrific.
Also a great singer of American literature, great singer, period. But I mean, what she's devoted to American song has been extraordinary.
Absolutely.
She's an amazing, what could possibly go wrong? Anyway, everybody want to see where we are again, just to be jealous? I'll turn you around now. Don't get dizzy. All right. I think that's really kind of a nice vista.
Beautiful.
And by the way, the Elbphilharmonie, the hotel is in the same building in this harbor. So all of the hotel rooms have some look outside, either in this direction of the city, or my room looks out on the harbor, and we just saw this enormous ship, mountains, coming through. It's really exciting, and can only say, thank you to Christoph Lieben and his team here at the Elbphilharmonie, that they trusted me first, and then the team and everybody, that this is going to be an important. These are important concerts, but I think they're quite frankly an important cultural event, and couldn't be more thrilled. And there's a real genuine excitement in the building, and everybody involved, and people that are talking about it, and some interviews and all that sort of stuff. And coincidentally, our orchestra concert, the 31st, here in this hall, will be the first live concert they've had in this hall in 7 months. So they're really, really jazzed about that. And that's why they needed the program ASAP. So we're thrilled to be part of this reopening and this feeling of perhaps we can see the light at the end of this very long, unimaginably long tunnel. I never thought we would be in this another year. I would have lost all bets on that. Didn't make any sense to me.
Right.
But hopefully we're coming out of it. You can feel it. People are carefully, and we're off our masks. We've been tested every day. And in the hall, we wear our masks and we somewhat stay away from another. But since we've all been tested, we actually on stage as well as here can sit next to each other and work. We will be tested day after tomorrow again and again on Sunday. And, everyone's being very careful, which I hope you at home are being equally careful. This is not a political show, but if I may, please get vaccinated. It's a good thing for everybody. Let's just move on from that. Certainly, yeah, never mind.
I think that's one thing that this whole time of being shut down and kept from doing what we wanted has made us all have a chance to take a look and realize how badly we want to do it. I mean, we are all now. I just can't wait till tomorrow to get out and just play a concert and send this music out and play with singers.
Exactly.
Oh my gosh,
Exactly. It feels good to make music. I tell you what, it's been too little.
Yeah.
And the kids are really, I call them the kids, but it's a lifeline, and you can feel it. And the public too. The few times I've had a public, in the various waves where it was down, everybody's just for the live music. And I think that's really good. I think there's going to be a new energy, don't you?
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
And I think also with the new digital awareness, and nobody's intimidated anymore about going online to do something, whatever platform it is. I'm not even going to say them because I don't want to, we all know what you can use, but going online, being on a internet platform to participate in something is no longer so intimidating or disappointing. And I think we're here to stay with this new now of live, but an augmented community orbit of it on the net as well. I think that's very positive. And I think also, and chime in here, guys, but I think there's a real possibility that the regional music making will have a real kick. The opera world was a little bit put off by the HD because everybody could go to these theaters and see that, and who's going to go to the local opera company. And that's sort of leveled out a bit more. But this kind of digital community that you can build amongst your subscribers and make something available across a very large geographic, I think will build pride in orchestras. And hopefully, my biggest hope, and that's also behind this project, is that the repertoire will widen again. There's just so much music to listen to that is fantastic.
Right.
All right.
That's right.
And IDAGIO.com, by the way, is a good place to check that out. IDAGIO.com is the largest, deepest database of streaming classical music today. It's extraordinary what you can discover. I was talking to Till, the founder and CEO, the other day, and he was talking to a couple other people, and he just off the hunt. Yeah, we've got about 30,000 different composers. And I went, whoa, what? I'm a professional here. 30,000 what? 30,000 classical music composers on this database.
Wow, that's a lot.
That's kind of amazing. But I want you to do me a favor, you song crazies out there. Pay attention. I need your help. We at IDAGIO are deeply committed to diversity. We are deeply committed to the sounds of diversity. So all of you who believe in us and believe in that, check out idagio.com, go surfing, go looking for the diverse composers of whatever culture and ethnicity you're looking for. But if you want to help us with the African-American community right now, and if it's not an IDAGIO, send me the title, send me the composer to hamsongfoundation.org. Do we have an email that we have people write to?
Office
at hamsongfoundation.org. Send us an email. Don't need to have a letter. Just send us an email, something you would like to have or you know that should be on that database that isn't on there yet. We've got other people doing this as well, but we and IDAGIO.com specifically are extremely committed that this music is hearable, attainable, enjoyable, and in the next week, celebratable. Right?
Can we thank you for your diverse thinking? I mean, can I applaud you?
Yes, of course. If you could do it a little louder into the microphone.
We need more of you. But it's great.
I believe that democracy with a capital D without diversity in a capital D is a hollow shell. And we should be celebrating the diversity of any cultures, but especially our American culture. And out of that, we find our community. And to me, that's what E Pluribus Unum is. And it has nothing to do with realpolitik. It has to do with your neighbors. It has to do with human beings. It has to do with empathy. I have to agree. I agree with you guys.
Choice.
They didn't agree with me either, you know, but I'll cut you some slack. You got yours, I got mine, we're good.
See you at the end.
Anyway, okay, guys, we're gonna call this a night. Thank you for joining us, and do check out the concerts.